What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Childish, and we are back at it again with the next episode of Educate and Dominate, the one-on-one interview series where we take some of the top names in the game, grab their insights so we can take your game to the next level. This is my second episode with the human Dynamo, one of our return guests, bringing you guys some great information I'm excited to talk about. What's going on, Dynamo?
How you doing, sir?
Oh, man, I am good. I know you're as good as you can be. You guys, if y'all don't know, he works overnight, so he got up stupid early to go ahead and make this video for us. So thank you so much. As
Not a problem.
I know that this one is going to be it's going to be great. It's going to be good intel. So you guys, as you guys know, Dynamo was with the Aftermath Guild. Recently, having both the global side and the Asia side, one of the few guilds that can do exceptionally well on both sides, but they've actually extended over to the Europe side. So do you want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Dynamo, and what's been changing on for you?
Sure. There were 4 or 5 members of Aftermath Asia that were actually European and had transferred just to try to get better time zones. They, with Camules recently letting Asia server transfer to EU. I jumped over to Europe. Being that I do work overnight, the arena reset time was just too juicy. I can wake up, do a power hour, and then go right back to sleep.
Nice.
It's right in the middle of the afternoon, so I've actually started the EU Aftermath EU guild. A couple of the guys from Asia came over, and there were 1 or 2 members from Global who had transferred already, just kind of waiting for us. So we are setting up the third franchise.
Nice.
And keeping it small right now. We only have like 5 or 6 members. There may be a couple more transferring over from Asia at the end of the week, but we're looking to start challenging Noviak and Anime Fantasy and a couple of the other big name guilds that are over there.
Cool. And shall we do a quick plug? Do you have kind of a recommendation for your level, as far as your players that come on board? Is there a particular rank or a certain amount of 6-star units? What do they got to be if they want to look into getting part of your guild?
Ideally, what we're looking for is players that can reliably hold Conqueror 2. We do sometimes make exceptions for people that have pretty strong boxes, but ideally we're looking for Conqueror 2 or higher players, simply because we are trying to, like I said, we're trying to be competitive with some of the top guys right now. I mean, if you look at the EU rankings, Noviak, which is Rengar and Thor's guild, their entire guild's in the top 300, and then there's another guild called Anime Fantasy, which has some players that are all pretty high up there. So we're looking for people that can hang in there with for arena as well as guild wars to stay competitive. The easiest way to apply, if anyone is interested, we use the line app chat to communicate. My line ID is the human Dynamo with no spaces. Just add me, shoot me a message on there and say, hey, they'll apply. Here's my monster box, and we can kind of go from there.
Good deal. And again, guys, if you guys didn't catch the original, the video with the Human Dynamo, make sure to go ahead and check that out. In addition to, if you guys didn't know already, Aftermath is a top 10 guild, doing really good. So to get over to that Europe side and get an opportunity to be with some of the best of the best is awesome. So definitely take advantage of the opportunity if you are moving over to the Europe server. All right. Let's get it popping. So, as you guys know, we've been having a couple of return guests. I'm a big fan of some of the guests that have already been on board, as we're always looking to get new people on board. Some of the people that have been doing these videos are constantly collecting information in order to benefit you, the viewer, the subscriber. And so one of the things that I always look for when I talk to the previous guests is, take a look at the videos, check it out, see what we've done, and think about stuff that we haven't talked about so we can bring some new information to you for the table. And, of course, Dynamo, like he always does, bringing some stellar content. He actually was looking over and noticed that we really didn't have a lot of information with regards to TOA hard. So we thought, why not? What better place to be than to get out some of the information that him and his guild have done research on with regards to, team comps, units, detail what units are good, what units are bad, so on and so forth. So we got ourselves a nice list of TOA hard units that we're going to go ahead and get into right from the get-go. As far as kind of an introduction to the particular TOA hard, I guess I would have to say that, for people that can clear TOA normal right now, I would imagine that if they're able to clear TOA normal, could we say just kind of a blanket statement they should be able to clear up to TOA like 50, hard 50? Would you say?
It's kind of weird. Yes and no. We were just talking about this in chat earlier. The tricky thing with hard is it seems like the higher you go, the more 6 stars you randomly have to make for one specific floor. So if you have the right units, yeah, you could probably do through 50. I would say 50 would be the good starting point. Like that should be your benchmark goal to start off with. And then if you can go higher than that, obviously, the higher you go, the better off. But I would say 50 is a good goal to start with, especially for anyone that's never done TOA hard. The challenge rating on it just really ramps up very quickly.
Yep, for sure. It's I still remember a couple of seasons back. I had to put quite the effort just to clear stage 50, and now with it seems like with the recent season it hasn't been too bad, but from 50 to 60 it was quite a jump. So I'm super excited to kind of learn some of these units now. Again, a lot of these units you guys might even have in your box or in your storage, and now you got more of a reason to get it out and get it going here. So. Uh, with regards to TOA hard, a lot of people think that they can just take, their basic team that they use in the TOA normal, with the exception of a couple of units, but there's still a requirement when it comes to not just the synergy, but the makeup of your team. So I was wondering if you can go ahead and talk about that, maybe some of the common setups as far as the makeup and how that synergizes into getting progressing into TOA hard.
Sure. The big thing with TOA hard is the team comp, especially being able to change it for certain floors, because there's some floors, unless you have the right team comp, it's simply almost impossible. Generally, what you want to have is some sort of debuff removal, whether that's Veromos or like a cleanse of some sort. You want to have some sort of speed booster, whether that's Verdehile or Bernard. Um, a way of some floors you're going to require having a resurrection, so whether that's Briand or Aladriel or whoever you have. But generally, what you want to have is at least a speed booster, some sort of debuff removal, 1 to 2 healers, and then a DPS.
Cool.
And the DPS, depending on the floor, will either come from damage over time abilities like Baretta, or it's going to be one single DPS that does good damage on its own. And that can be, like a Spectra or a Sigmaris, or, it depends on what you have. But you want a good, strong single target DPS or a form of doing dots to everything.
Good. And speaking about doing dots, let's get right into that first unit. This has to be, in my eyes, probably one of the easiest obtainable units for anybody as far as fusible units go, and I say that with fusible units, right? Baretta, like he said, dots, one of the top things that you're going to need in there. Give me a little insight on Baretta for those that are new to the TOA hard, and why you think this is just so invaluable.
Okay, so Baretta, to begin with, offers a speed leader skill. So speed is king in this game. Whether it's arena, whether it's TOA hard, speed is king. The speed leader skill, 19%, is good. She has dots that hit everything and can apply 2 dots to each unit. And it's on a relatively low cooldown. I mean, you think about 5 turns being... It doesn't sound like it's that long or that low, but when you're actually in the game, it's up pretty often, especially when you have a Bernard or a Verd that's just pumping your team into turns. It comes up more often than it seems. Her attack bar reset, or his attack bar reset. I always think the stupid subs are girls.
I said it, I do the same thing too. So
his attack bar reset is incredible, especially if there's one particular enemy that you need to make sure doesn't go, or if you put him on despair, which you really should, and he stuns somebody and then you attack bar reset him, that's 2 turns where an enemy's not hitting you. And pretty much all of the units in TOA hard, especially the higher you go, hit like trucks. So anytime one of them's not hitting you in the face, it's awesome.
Gotcha.
And ideally for Verd or for Baretta, you're gonna want to go Despair and Focus. Personally, mine for TOA hard is speed, HP, and accuracy on 246. If you can hit 100% accuracy without having the accuracy on slot 6, go HP then. His damage is going to come from dots. You're not looking for him to be throwing his auto attack out and crushing people. It's all about landing the dots and making sure they reliably land and making sure you can reset somebody.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see what we got here. Next down the list, I think we're going to move into the dark element. I see one of the units that was available back in the October of 2014, if you guys still have that unit. If not, maybe pulled it since then. The Dark Grim Reaper Thrain.
Yep, Thrain's another great unit for TOA hard. Again, throwing out dots with his second skill. The unique thing about Thrain, and it's also unique to the Water Reaper, is they don't actually do damage on the skill. So you can apply the dots without technically attacking the unit. So especially right now it's on the like 81 through 89, the floors where half the units have counterattacks if they're hit.
Right.
Like the Dark Martial Clats, the Dark Yeti, the Light Yetis, all that. This either Thrain or Hemos or whatever the Water Reaper's name is, they were amazing for those floors because of the fact that you can apply those dots and then not get counterattacked. So he's really incredible for TOA hard because he also has no elemental disadvantage. So his dots, they'll apply to pretty much everybody. It's not like, oh, I can't apply them to win units like the Water Reaper has some issues with.
Right.
And for Thrain, ideal runes, you're looking at Violent as the main set. Speed, HP, and accuracy, again, unless you can get 100% accuracy from the substats. The reason you want to go Violent over Despair is sadly because his dot does not hit anybody, it will not stun on Despair. Right. That's the one drawback to that.
It's kind of funny. Initially, when this unit came out, or this one and the water one came out, we looked at that second skill. We're like, that sucks. It's not useful. But like you said, there's certain situations where it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for what you need to do. So
absolutely, and the fact that he brings a stun in AOE stun to the table is huge too, because TOA hard is all about making sure you can CC as many people as you can while doing damage to them.
Right. And even though this third skill is, it's going to be stunning an enemy if it does have some kind of continuous damage, they still have the opportunity to resist, right? It's not like a guaranteed stun or anything.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't have a Thrain. I, for whatever reason, when I was playing, just didn't get one in October, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, we'll definitely get you guys some more insight on that from some of his guild mates, and we'll put some information in the annotation so you guys can get the heads up on that. I'm pretty sure that it has a chance to resist, but I'm not too sure myself. So we'll get.
I would assume so.
Right, for sure. Next one up again is probably right there with Baretta as far as the top two fusible units that is utilized for so many aspects of the game, but more so now what we're talking about TOA hard. So Veromos.
Veromos. Number one, his HP percentage leader skill. There are some floors where that's going to be better than having a speed leader skill. You need your units to be able to absorb a little bit more punishment, and this is kind of your go-to guy for that. The big thing with him, in addition to providing some dots, is the buff removal. Because there are floors where every turn you're going to be getting armor broken or heal debuffed or whatever. So having him on the team on some floors is amazing simply because on his turn he cleanses everything. In addition, especially if you have yours max skilled with Devilmons, his second skill, the AoE stun, can be huge. So he is an amazing unit for TOA hard. He's pretty much on my staple team for most floors. And then ideally main set is going to be Violent. Mine is speed, HP, and then my offset, I went focus just to get a little bit more accuracy for the stun and the dot.
Cool. And for those of you guys that are just watching this video, maybe you just have Veromos in the mix. He made a valid point about making sure this unit's max. If you don't think that this is one of those units that needs to be max, you definitely want to take the opportunity to do that. I was one of the few people that had some bad luck when it comes to summoning the Ifrits. I've summoned, I think, 3 wind Ifrits so far, and 2 out of my 3 actually went into Veromos. 1 to 6-star and 1 just a fighter to go into. Got a lot of criticism on that, but as rare as Devilmons are, I had to take every opportunity I can to get this guy maxed out as soon as possible. And when I got that second skill maxed out, it helped me substantially. In the world of arena offense and defense, since it seems like a violent proc for 22% means a violent proc for like 80%, and that skill comes up every single time. So. Oh man, lovable Veromos. All right, so moving now, we got ourselves the next unit here. This one's going to be going from kind of a CC-ish unit to a reviving type of unit here. One of the few revivers that I have here. Where is he hiding at? Mr. Briand. Where he is.
So Briand, his revive is great. And in some floors, it's going to be needed because there's floors where you're going to get killed. The big thing with Briand, though, is his debuffs. Heal debuff on a lot of boss stages is huge because there's some form of heal or some form of almost like a vampire effect where the boss will heal damage. So that heal debuff and then his attack debuff are both critical. Like I said, a lot of the units on TOA hard hit like trucks, so being able to weaken their attack is amazing. And in addition, I mean, he just makes an overall team a lot safer. I mean, he's a tank in and of himself, so he'll be able to eat up a lot of damage, and especially floors where there's a lot of fire units, they'll be focusing on him while you're just healing him, and he'll just kind of laugh it off. Ideally for him, you got 2 ways to go. I went Despair on him because that's second skill randomly will stun people a good bit on the floors, especially on a lot of the first and second waves. The other option would be to go Violent, and then for hard, I would almost say you want to go Focus as your offset. It sounds kind of weird, but you really need to focus on accuracy for hard, otherwise debuffs are not going to land. So Despair or Violent, and then go HP, and get as high as you can on accuracy from substats.
Cool. And then the next one here, the a light unit. Definitely one of the controversial units that allowed me to clear TOA normal for the first time. If I didn't have this for stage 94, I didn't have any hit point reserves at the time. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm super excited to talk about this one. Ahman, the Light Bearman.
Yep, Ahman. He's he's honestly the most consistent healer in the game if you can get his crit rate up. Each time he attacks, he's going to heal your whole team. The thing that makes him so good for hard is his first skill, though, the taunt. If you can get a reliable taunt, it's almost like a one-turn CC. Especially against bosses. When you max skill him, I believe his taunt is 75% chance to land. And, there's stages where these bosses have crazy skills that can hit your whole team. If you taunt them, they're going to hit him with a first skill. Usually it's a single target. It might have some sort of debuff, but ideally he's got enough hit points where he just kind of looks at him and then slaps him right back, hits him again, and heals the whole team up. Ideally for him, Violent would be the main set you want to go with. His offset, it really just depends. You want to be able to get 100% hit crit rate. So HP crit rate and HP are going to be 246. If you can do that without using Blade, then that's ideal. Energy is this is one of the few units that I would recommend running Energy as a secondary set, simply because the higher his hit point total, the higher he heals everybody. And Endure is another good set for the resist, so that he can resist stuns and heal blocks. Sadly, a while back they changed him so that his heal only works on his turn. So revenge is not really an option unless you really just want to have him taunting people on an off chance that he hits them back. But there will be no heal there, so it's not as good as it used to be.
Cool. And again, just like you said it before, um, with Veromos and with Thrain, him being a neutral element just gives you the more opportunity to land that debuff and not have too many issues there with resistance. So, right on. All right. So, next one is in our category of light units again. I mean, without a doubt, one of the best units in the game, just overall for everything. So, we got ourselves Bella.
Absolutely, she is probably my most used unit. I mean, I use her everywhere. Dragons, TOA hard, arena. I think giants are the only place I don't use her in, just because I have too many other units that blow things up. For TOA hard, her armor break and the fact that she can seize buffs are crucial. There are a couple stages where the boss will have some sort of immunity or an invincibility effect, and being able to seize that and keep going really just makes the clear that much better and that much quicker, which kind of is a key point for TOA hard, because there are floors where it'll take 10, 15 minutes to beat a stage, and it's kind of beating your head against the wall. But her ability to remove buffs really helps out. Um, in addition, her attack, her third skill is a pretty hefty heal, but it also speeds up it also fills the attack bar, which again is almost making her fill the role of that attack speed booster, like Verd and like Bernard, in addition to being a healer unit. Um, with her, you want to do Violent as the main set. Speed, HP, and HP would be my recommendation, and then get as high as you can on accuracy and substats. Um, for some reason, it seems like Bella can land her armor break and also steal buffs with no accuracy. I don't know what it is. It's just one of those units that seems to kind of be an anomaly, but ideally get as much accuracy as you can from the substats.
Cool. Yeah, this it's by far one of my favorite units for sure. Let's see what we got. Oh man, we're dusting off one of our Giants B10 units here. Where are they at? Good old Shannon.
Shannon. All right,
Yeah.
I hate Shannon.
That
I've 6-starred 3 of them. I hate her. I keep feeding her to other people. I recently had to remake her again. I'm finally going to keep this one because she is crazy good for TOA hard, especially some of the higher stages. Like on this current version of TOA hard, since they keep flip flopping them. This current version with the 2 occult girls and 2 imps, she is pretty much a key unit, depending on what units you have. Her speed decrease and glancing hit debuff are amazing in TOA hard. Limiting how fast the other team goes in conjunction with a Bernard or a Verd, you can get 2, 3, 4 turns sometimes, depending on how fast the units are. Glancing hit is amazing in TOA hard, especially on the boss stages. You have a Shannon plus an Ahman, and a glancing hit plus a provoke means Ahman is taking nearly no damage, and the rest of your team is completely untouched. So, I mean, that right there is one reason to bring her. In addition, uh, her third skill, buffing defense and attack, is huge because, again, the less damage you take, the more reliably you're going to clear that stage. And like I mentioned, one of the floors that she probably shines the best on is that floor with the light imp, light occult girl, wind occult girl, and wind imp, simply because she can lock down their speeds, and that the light imp alone can one shot a lot of units.
gotcha.
And for her, for TOA, I would go Despair as the main set. speed, HP. I personally would recommend Focus as the secondary set just because you want to pump her accuracy through the roof.
Cool. And I know that there has been some um, threads on various forums as far as some talk. I don't know if you or your guys over at Aftermath have any insight on this, but it seems to be that when a unit it has a glancing hit the Fed on and they do an attack on you, sometimes they do an attack that's supposed to provide some kind of a hostile debuff or whatnot. It seems that when they have the glancing hit, if they don't crit, it seems like. Or let me take that back. If they crit, it seems like when I have a unit, when the person that was writing this form had a unit too, if they crit, it seems like they generally have a higher chance of landing that debuff. I don't know if you heard anything about that as far as glancing hit versus crushing hit, and crushing hit helps out landing debuffs and whatnot.
All right, so I'm not going to say that I'm 100% certain on this. In my experience, this is the way it works. If the debuff is attached, is a damaging debuff like a dot, or an armor break, or a heal block, or anything like that, in my experience, it absolutely is tied to not not having a glancing hit. So whether that's crushing blow, or whether it's just a normal attack, or whether it's critting, those seem to be tied to landing it without being a glancing hit. The other type is sort of a. I'll use Zyros and Lumi as an example. Their skill reset. Those don't seem to care whether it's a glancing hit or not. So it's almost like there's two different mechanics involved there. So we'll use Shannon as this example. With her glancing hit, with her speed debuff, those do seem to be tied to landing without being glancing hits. Those need to be either a normal blow, a crushing blow, or a crit in order to apply those debuffs. Other units like Zyros, like Lumi, their skill resets don't seem to need. They don't seem to care. Like I use Zyros in Arena all day to reset Theomar skills. It always lands as a glancing hit, but it still makes his third skill or makes his passive go on cooldown. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I get it all the time with Draco. Like Draco, I have like literally no accuracy at all, but kind of on the flip end, not glancing hit but crushing hit. Seeing that his second attack always lands a crushing hit, it seems like I'm always landing that defense break. I don't know why that's the case, but
Yep.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep.
Cool. Next one is still in the win category here. Definitely one of the best healers out there in the game today, Chasun.
Yep. All right. So Chasun, I mean, everyone knows how amazing she is and how annoying she can be to fight. For TOA hard, the Fallen Blossoms is invaluable. I mean, there's going to be times, like I said, where you die or where you're almost dead, and one more hit will kill him, and then Chasun comes along and says, "Nah, you're back at full. Just keep going."
Nice.
The group heal is crazy good. You put her with a Briand, and you resurrect one person to eat your whole team. All of a sudden, the whole team's back at 100%. And she has a glancing hit debuff on her first skill. So again, that glancing hit is huge against a lot of single target boss effects and stuff like that. For Chasun, violent main set, speed, HP, or you can kind of cheat like some players do, myself included, and go HP, and then use Nemesis as the offset to kind of make sure that she's always getting hit and then always speeding up.
Cool. All right. And then next one up, the one unit that I will never get, but I always want, Verdehile.
The next unit, actually, the next two units are sort of interchangeable. You want to run one or the other, definitely not both. So Verad would be the first option for speed boosting your team. Sadly, his leader skill does not work in COA because it is a dungeon specific skill. So if you put him on the team, don't make him the leader. Otherwise, you're wasting utility. But his ability to generate extra turns for your team and just pump their attack bars through the roof is amazing. There's really two ways to go for TOA hard, and it really just depends on which you prefer. Either one can work. Violent Revenge would be the first build for him. A lot of people go 3 revenge sets though, and you want to go speed on 2, crit rate on 4, and HP on 6. And the key here is to pump his speed and his crit rate up. 100% crit rate is required with him because that is what's going to boost your attack bars. And then the faster he goes, the more often he goes, the more turns you're getting, and it just sort of snowballs after that. Violent, he's one of those units that just seems to ignore the percentages for Violent and just kind of does his own thing and will go 4, 5, 6, 7 times. If you go 3 times Revenge, you're really counting on like AoEs on the floor catching it, and then all of a sudden he's smacking people and stealing turns almost.
It's crazy, this unit. It is crazy. And you said the next one there, if you don't have Verdehile, then Bernard's a great option?
Bernard is a great option, and honestly there are times when he is the better option of the 2, and I'll explain why. He is the other option for speed boosting due to his 3rd skill. It's huge that your whole team's speed and attack bars are boosted. The thing that makes him sometimes the better option, though, is his 2nd skill because of the attack debuff. The armor break on top of it is almost just an added bonus. It's the attack debuff that really kind of makes him a better option on some floors, especially on some of the boss stages, because you need to reliably have that attack debuff. And having him plus Briand on a team, it's just that much more chance of having the debuff land. Bernard, I would say you always want to have Swift as your main set. Offset, you can get like mine's on a broken set for offset. You can do focus, you can do blade. It really is kind of up to you and what runes you have in the substats. You want speed, HP, or speed, HP, accuracy, just depending on how much accuracy you can generate. But the key thing here is get his speed as high as possible, even to the point of sacrificing other stats.
Cool. And of course, when we're talking about TOA hard, and whatnot, we're looking at every unit that we're bringing to the table is going to be needed to be 6-star as far as taking advantage of their base stats and increasing. It seems like Bernard's base stats from 5-star to 6-star is a really, really good jump. So
yeah,
definitely want to get that done.
There's really only one exception to that. Actually, I'm sorry. There's 2 exceptions to that needing to 6-star, and I'll make. We're almost to them. Actually, they're going to be coming up here in the next couple of units, and I'll explain why you may not want to 6-star a couple of them.
All right. And moving on to his big brother here, Mr. Spectra.
All right. So Spectra is unique in that he's going to actually fill your DPS role on a team. And then he brings a lot of utility with him on top of that. His 2nd skill is a great speed debuff and attack bar debuff on all enemies. So again, that goes back to limiting. It goes back to limiting how fast the enemy team is moving and trying to steal turns, because the faster you go, the more often you're going. The less often your enemy's going, the less damage you're taking, and that's a key point. And then his special attack, it might be his 2nd skill. I don't really remember. Hits based on special assault. It's based on the enemy's max HP. All of the units in TOA hard have crazy high hit points, which is why dots are so effective. Spectra can just walk up and hit somebody for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 in TOA hard without blinking an eye. It's crazy to see how much of a chunk of someone's life bar Spectra will take off. I personally would go Swift Focus, speed, HP, accuracy on Spectra, and I personally think that accuracy on Spectra is the key stat, even to the point of losing hit points for her, because you want the attack bar and speed debuff to land really consistently. There are floors where that will, more than anything, kind of help you out on clearing it and succeeding and without it landing, you're kind of up a creek at that point.
Good deal. And considering the fact that um, with him having such a high base speed, without a doubt, Swift has to be the optimal set. Could you find a reason if you're utilizing him for a DPS kind of role to go violent over Swift, or do you just say Swift all the way since his base speed is just too good?
I could see violent being an option, but you would need to have some pretty good runes to make it work.
Sure.
Which a lot of people that are really focusing on TOA hard do. I just think Swift is going to be a lot easier of a set to get away with, and with Swift really kind of giving you that much extra speed, along with having the Bernard or the Verd. I mean, you're almost on violent already on how often a lot of your units are going to be going.
Cool. That is what I want to hear. Oh man, I just took a look at the list. The next one up, you guys are gonna get blown away. You're gonna be like, what? What?
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is
So
Miss Maggie.
Maggie, the Dark Golem.
Here we go.
A couple of members of Aftermath randomly got her from Light and Dark Scrolls, and they were kind of bummed out, and they're like, whatever, let's see if we can make her work. She turned out to be awesome, and one of our members named Koba, this is like his go-to unit for TOA hard, and he is in love with this golem. Um, so I mean, you can see the second skill attacks all enemies and applies continuous damage. Uh, Again, we've talked about how dots are one of the best and most reliable forms of damage in TOA hard, simply because of how high the hit point units are. The thing that makes Maggie so amazing, though, is that first skill that she shares with a lot of the other golems: provoke and then stun. So you're really single target CCing something right from the get go. In addition to being a tanky unit on her own, she's now a tanky DPS unit that also has CC. So she's kind of like the Swiss Army knife. Um, he recommended going Despair Revenge. Um, so Despair, because of that second skill, hitting everybody, again, stunning things. So now you have two chances to stun. And then the first skill is what makes Revenge so good, because of the fact that even on a Revenge, there's a chance to stun and provoke. The third skill, the passive, reflecting damage back. The units hit like I told you before. The TOA hard units hit like trucks. Now they're eating a lot of some of their own damage right back. So it's a really well-rounded kind of niche unit that has a place almost on any floor you can throw her in, and she'll be fine.
Good. And of course, it seems like even though all three skills, um, are going to be providing so much, the first and the second skill are without a doubt really strong. I would have to imagine that with a high defense unit such as this, um, the amount of damage that you will be reflecting might not be a lot, but I guess it just kind of depends on the unit. Or do you feel that even with the high defense on this particular unit, it still reflects back a good amount of damage?
I mean, it depends really on the floor and what you're fighting, because there are some units in TOA hard that do damage based on max HP and stuff like that. So
True.
there are going to be times where it's going to reflect back a lot more, but every little bit of damage helps. I mean, every time the enemy is taking damage, you're that much closer to succeeding without having to retry a level. So even if it's only a few hundred damage here or there, it still helps.
Yeah, for sure. Well stated. Well stated. Next one up is Basalt, a fan favorite for most that have been following the game for the last 3 or 4 months here.
Basalt. I talked about Basalt in my last interview with you, and I've actually I changed my rune build on her a little bit based on seeing some other videos and some guild mates talking and using them. The attack bar debuff, easily one of the best skills that she has. It's the third skill, 35% attack bar decrease. Again, with the build I'm going to recommend, you're not getting a whole lot of damage out of her from that third skill, but every little bit helps. It's more about getting that debuff to land. In addition, she has the defense buff that also heals, and then the first skill will taunt. So she has everything that you kind of want in a unit right there to help out everything else. She's got the taunt for the CC. She's got the defense buff and the heal to help your team out. She's got the attack bar debuff to make sure the enemies aren't going. Um, my new build for her is Violent as the main set, and you've got either speed, hit point, or hit point for 246. You're really trying to focus on the heal here and instead of applying damage with the third skill. The third skill is going to be mostly just for the debuff. And then you want to get as much accuracy as you can. You're going to hear me say this over and over again. Get as much accuracy as you can from subs. Accuracy really is one of the more important stats for TOA hard, simply because of the resist rates on the units.
Awesome. Cool. And we'll have a small segment here at the very end, talking about some alternate choices here. The next one up is probably what you would consider a great alternate choice if you don't have Basalt here, the Water Mammoth Talc.
Talc. Yeah, absolutely. Same thing as with Basalt. It's got a single target taunt. She's got the defense buff with the heal, and then honestly, her passive really kind of comes to play here in some of the floors, and she's great for tanking some of the bosses. Especially, I'll use it again because it's a floor a lot of people have trouble with, especially when it's this high in the rotation. The stage with the two imps and two occult girls. She is great for tanking the Wind Occult Girl and the Wind Imp because she does absorb some of that damage. So Talc is definitely a viable unit and a great replacement if you don't have a Basalt. And honestly, on that floor, it might actually be even better than Basalt. And you want Violent as the main set, either speed HP, or triple HP as your 246. Offset really kind of can be focus if you want to try and land the debuff or the taunt more. It can be energy if you really just kind of want to pump her hit points up to really play off that passive. You have a few options there just depending on what you think you need.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's see. The next one, I think we're gonna have some people dust off the cobwebs off this unit. Lord knows everyone's got this stored. If you've been into the game for a very long time, this is one of the units that was crucial in clearing Giants P10 prior to the change.
The good old Giant team, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Dark Elemental, and this one and the next unit are ones that I would recommend maybe not 6-starring. You can actually get away with them at a little bit lower level. So, I mean, he's got his first skill applies dots if you crit, which you're going to. He's got a built-in crit rate buff. He's got an attack bar, or attack bar boost for himself. So again, you're speeding him up. He's getting more turns. His third skill is really what makes him shine in a couple floors, in a few floors though, and it's also part of the reason why you don't necessarily want to 6-star him. So on all of the floors that are revenge based, where you have all the martial cats, the yetis, all the archangels that'll return attacks if you crit on them and whatnot, you're almost using him as a damage magnet. What you're trying to do is build a team around him, so that he hits somebody, the entire floor hits him back, and then they all get the damage reflected. Now, the reason I say you don't want to 6-star him is at 4 and 5 stars, he's actually going to be hit harder than he would if he was a 6-star.
Good point.
With his third skill active, he's not going to die. So if you can make him take 30,000 damage a hit instead of 18,000, you're going to reflect a ton more, and it's going to make the floor that much easier, surprisingly. With him, you have a couple options for rune builds. You can go Fatal, you can go Rage, you can go Violent if you want, just to make sure his skills are up all the time. The rune sets on him don't really matter as much. You want to go attack, crit damage attack on him. Try and make sure that he can crit people to apply that dot, as well as trigger the revenge things on him with those floors that you're going to use him on. And ideally, you're going to want to pair him with a Michelle, or with a Chloe, with a Neal, to make sure that he's invincible, because awkwardly enough, the mechanic works that if he's invincible but his third skill is active, it's going to reflect whatever damage he would have taken, even if he's not actually taking the damage. the reflection happens before the invincible reduces it to 0.
That is really cool, guys. So if there's one real good takeaway for, especially for some of you guys that were fortunate enough to get this one and didn't get a chance to utilize it since they changed the giant sequence. That's pretty cool. I'm super excited. I'm actually looking forward to pulling one now if I get the opportunity to can because I didn't get it. My wife got it, but I haven't been able to do it. So
Play her
um,
account a little bit just to have some fun with it
I
then.
know I'm gonna have to now. Well, we're still working on clearing TOA normal for her, so but that's all
Gotcha.
good.
Gotcha.
Like you said, we got three particular units that will synergize well with the Dark Elemental, and we'll kind of go into those two while we got the time. Michelle was one of those three here, so
Absolutely. Um, Michelle is the other unit you don't really need the 6-star. You can get away with her at 5-star. I have one that's 4-star max level with some half decent runes, and you'll get away with it based on the team comp you're going to run. She really is used on those revenge floors as well. And you're going to pair her with Chloe or Neal and the Dark Elemental just to extend the buff. So the turn order would be, and this is going to be a little tricky because you want to sync the speed up a little bit. But what you're going to want to do is pop either the Neal or Chloe buff, the invincibility, then have the Dark Elemental go and pop its third skill so that it's got the endure and the damage reflection, and then you're going to hit block flow to on Michelle to extend those buffs so that you have 2-3 turns of invincibility and 3 or 4 turns of the damage reflection. And because of the way the team is set up, especially if you were fortunate enough to have a Chloe and are using her, Michelle doesn't need to be 6-star simply because she's there to extend that buff. And once she does, great, she's kind of done her job. And she's not going to really be killed anyway because of the fact she's invincible.
cool. And as far as the recommendation for runes, what would you go for that one?
Honestly, it can be swift, it can be violent, it can be all endure. It really doesn't matter. The key here is just syncing up the speed so that she goes directly after the other two. And as long as you can run one rune of each set, if that's what it takes to match the speed up, it really doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Cool. And then next one is the Light Fairy Neal, a unit that a lot of us had, and threw away, and now have been farming the light dungeons to get back so we can utilize it for TOA hard.
Yep. Neal is great for TOA hard, especially on those revenge floors. She will die if you don't have a Chloe. Honestly, her her first skill can stun, her second skill can remove some debuffs and heal. The third skill is really what makes her useful though, and it's almost to the point where she throws that invincibility on a unit, whether it's the Dark Elemental or you're throwing it on a Baretta so that he can toss out a bunch of dots and then eat all the revenges on him. She's going to throw out the third skill, and then shortly thereafter, a Dark Martial Cat's going to punch her in the face and kill her. As long as you can get off the third skill, you've done your job. Let her die or resurrect her, whether it's Michelle or Brienne or whoever. Get her back up, do it again. So, for Neal, honestly, Violent is probably the best option simply because if she has Violent, she can throw out that third skill and then almost turn into like a little stun bot with that first attack. And if that happens, it just makes the floor that much easier.
Gotcha. And then with regards to violent, utilizing it with another unit is going to be probably the best bet to get it up, as many times as possible. But is there any scenarios where you feel violent might not be the good one, seeing that she could, like, if you're using it on herself, she can basically proc out a bit, or is there really not a scenario you feel in TOA hard where you're going to use her as her own shield?
I have yet to see her used as her own shield unless it's one of those crazy rare times where like she's the only unit left alive and you're fighting only one other unit where you're trying to basically just make it by through the skin of your teeth. Honestly, she's there to shield somebody else and then kind of get killed
Okay,
and then
sounds good.
resurrected. The only reason I would say Violent is the best option for her is because that third skill is going to be up more and more often as as you take extra turns.
Alrighty. And next one up with the invincibility, as we all know, one of the fan favorites again, Chloe, wherever she's hiding.
Chloe, yep. She's honestly useful on almost any floor because of how well rounded she is. The invincibility and immunity is awesome. She's got a great heal that's on a really low cooldown. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about her because honestly, everyone that has her loves her, and everyone that doesn't wants her. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I'm in that second category.
If you do have a Chloe and you're running her, Swift is going to be the main set. Speed, HP. For TOA hard, you don't need the will runes like you do in Arena. You can run energy, you can run endure, you can run guard to bump up the defense. You really have options for that second stat, but you want to make sure that she's on Swift and her speed is through the roof.
Alrighty. Next one up is a rare Nat 5, the infamous Verad.
Verad, yeah, a lot of people really kind of were like disappointed when they pulled him as their dragon if they got him. He is amazing for TOA hard. And I honestly won't talk about a lot of Nat 5s for TOA hard unless they're fusible. The only reason that he is an exception is because of how amazing he is. He has an attack bar reset. He's got a freeze that, he's got 2 different skills that attack all enemies. So he's a natural despair unit. So the AoE attack bar reset is really what makes him stand out. We talked about Baretta being able to reset a boss, and here Verad comes along and just kind of kicks everything in the teeth and says, nah, you guys aren't attacking at all. Just sit down. He also has that HP leader skill, which we talked about on some floors is better than having a speed leader. So, he, like I said, it's a natural despair unit. Speed, HP. You can do speed, HP, accuracy, HP, accuracy, triple HP. It really just depends on what you can get from substats. He's another unit you want to have really high subs and good HP. Speed on 2 can make him go more often. It really, you have some options there if you were lucky enough to pull him.
All right, and the next one, I believe we're still in the water category.
Yep.
One of the great starter units of the game, and it's kind of cool because for a new player, they would have never thought that a beginner unit like this is something that you can actually save and utilize for endgame. So.
Oh yeah. So water Amazon. I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
Ellie.
Name. Okay, so Ellie. Ellie is almost like the miniature
Ellin.
version of Verad. There we go, Ellin.
Epic fail, Ellin, not Ellie, Ellin.
We both failed that one. Neither of us.
Double fail.
Ellin she is like a mini version of Verad, honestly. You want I have mine speed, HP, accuracy with despair as the main set, focus is the off. The third skill here is really what sets her, is what keeps her useful, honestly. The third skill has like a 75% chance per attack to reduce attack bar by like 15%. So each enemy is hit 4 times. You can reduce people up to 60%, which not quite as good as resetting it to 0, but that's still a huge chunk of an attack bar eaten away.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, her leader skill can come into play as well because it's an accuracy leader skill. Like I keep saying, accuracy is huge in TOA hard. There are going to be times where you have to have 100% accuracy to land stuff because units are level 55, 60. So there are times when she's going to be your leader. And I mean, she's one of those kind of sleeper units, like you were saying, that everyone's like, oh, I had her at one point. What's so big about her? Well, she has a home, especially on some of the higher level floors, just to make sure units aren't going.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let's see. We got, I think next one up is Hemos, also in the water category, the water Grim Reaper.
Yep. Hemos he's basically like the replacement version for Thrain if you are in my boat and didn't get Thrain for some reason. His third skill freezes somebody, so you've got some single target CC there, which is good. His second skill applies the dot without triggering revenge passives. And that's, it's the dots that really are what you want to focus on for TOA hard if you're using this unit. The sad part is he does have that elemental disadvantage versus wind units, so you really need to pump his focus through the roof, or his accuracy through the roof to make sure that they land. So be prepared for him to get punched around by a lot of wind units because he is kind of fragile, and make sure you've got some revive abilities with him.
Alrighty. And what was the? Oh my God! If I'm reading this correctly, one of my favorite units of all time, Hua, running the
Hua,
Hua Hua
Hua.
Hua.
She is awesome for TOA hard, whatever. I mean, she's just a powerhouse. You know, I will say this up front: violent is definitely the way to go with her, because the more times you hit somebody, the less times they get to go. And she is actually another unit, like I was talking about before, where even on a glancing hit, she can apply that passive and reduce their attack bar. It's weird. I don't really know how the mechanic works. I just know that it works. She is great versus a lot of the bosses. She can pump out some decent damage. She's got a dot on the second skill to kind of bring a little bit more damage to the units. But the third skill is really what she's bringing to the table here, and what really makes her awesome. Being able to decrease attack bar by 20% or 25% is huge. Speed and accuracy are the key. I run mine. I have like 3 of her for some reason, but I run them violent and focus with speed. I think I run speed, attack, accuracy as my 2, 4, 6. Accuracy and speed are the key to her anyway, because you want that third skill to land. It can be resisted, but if you have enough accuracy, it'll land even on a glancing hit.
Yep, definitely one of the top 2 3 units that allow me to go from being able just to get up to like stage 50 normal after a few months, being able to auto TOA normal the last stage. So if I didn't have her, it would have been a pain. So pretty cool unit. I definitely enjoy it. And if you guys remember, I was always a big fan of the Swift up until a couple of months ago switching to Violent. It's without a doubt one of the best options I ever made. So
Absolutely. But once you can get the stats, if you watch the last interview, I was talking about you don't have to go violent if you are going to sacrifice stats. If you can go violent on her without sacrificing stats, do it, because she will turn into a machine gun. It's amazing.
good deal. And the next group of 3 units are the Phoenixes. We got Sig, Perna, and Teshar. Let's go ahead and start with Perna.
Okay. All three Phoenix are great single target nukes. I wasn't going to talk about a lot of Nat 5s, but this little family of 5-star really stand out. They are some of the best single target nukes in the game. You pair them with an armor break and giggle at the numbers that they'll put up on damage, especially for TOA hard, because all 3 of them have a skill that scales off of the enemy's max HP. So, you look at Perna there, and high base attack to begin with. You've got some stuns. The more HP an enemy has on her second skill, the more damage she'll do. And then everyone knows how amazing her passive is with revive and with the heal. Sig has the AOE attack debuff tied to his skill that scales off of the enemy's HP. He'll hit like a truck versus a lot of them. The only downside to the Phoenixes is how fragile they are. So, I mean, you're expecting them to do some damage and die, which is why having revive is key, and having reliable heals is so key. And then Teshar, you look at Reddit, you look at a lot of the forums, and everyone's crying and bitching about having a Teshar. And Teshar has the single highest base attack in the game. In addition, she's got the skill that scales off enemies' HP, and then Tempest does obscene damage with the right builds. And then I sent you that video. I don't know if you've watched it yet. Teshar, there's a team from the China server that clears TOA 100 on the normal in under 2 minutes because of Teshar. The whole stage, all 3 waves, start to finish in under 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
oh no, I was gonna say I think now that you're reminding me about that, I thought the video you sent me was TOA hard. If it's TOA normal, yes, I have seen that one. It's pretty sick.
okay, yeah. So Teshar can do obscene damage in hard as well because of the fact that that third skill will reset and the second skill scales off HP. So regardless of which Phoenix you have, if you have one, fuse a Sig, she's great. If you pull a Teshar, don't feel like you got gypped. It's an amazing, amazing unit for a lot of aspects of the game. You just have to focus on her strengths and downplay her weaknesses. That's the key. And if you were lucky enough to pull a lighter dark Phoenix, I hate you.
Yeah.
They're great. There's a special place in hell for you.
Nice. Oh man, I think our last one here, believe it or not, is right around the corner here. Lumi. Where's she
Okay,
at?
Lumi is another great unit. Like I was talking about a little bit, even on glancing hits, she will reset skills. So that can be big. It's a little weird with the mechanics of TOA and TOA hard because of the tower buff that allows the boss skills to reset faster, but it still will save you from eating an AoE from time to time. She's got dots on her first skill. She's got a full heal on the last skill. So I mean that's a huge heal right there, especially if a unit's almost dead. She's decently tanky. I personally would go Violent for my main set or Swift, one of the two, just depending on which stats you can generate better. Offset can be Focus for more accuracy on landing the dots. It can be Energy. It can be Guard. It can be Endure. It really just depends on what you need her to do. But she can be a decently tanky unit with a big heal and really lock down skills on people, which is huge. And then I actually added one more unit that I'm dumb to forget, and that's Aria.
Oh man,
I
and
don't
you
know how I
forgot.
didn't think about her.
Oh man, we would have gotten slammed for that one. I completely,
Absolutely.
yeah, I completely forgot about it too. So
Aria is the CC queen of TOA. And the reason on paper there's a lot of units that seem like they have more, but she has everything you need. Her first skill puts people to sleep, and it does it really really reliably, especially when you pump some skills, some skill ups into her, whether that's fusing the stupid fire succubus that's available in the fusion thing, or whether you pulled a whole bunch of wind succubus that are terrible and should be fed to everything else immediately. Her second skill, once you put someone to sleep, if you can generate enough speed, you slap them with an auto crit, and it has that block heal, which is amazing. The third skill has the AoE, slows people, glancing hits. She's awesome. You want to run her despair, focus, speed, HP, or speed, HP, accuracy. You want to get at least 85% accuracy and just giggle at how well she just locks down people. And yeah, I don't know how I left her off the original list because she's like the best thing in the world for TOA.
yeah, she's definitely one of those units that I have neglected a 6-star because I really wasn't focused on TOA hard, but I'll definitely have to consider it.
I
If I'm
just
trying
made her a
to.
6-star on mine not long ago because I was in the same boat. I'm like, yeah, I've got HP leaders for arena. I don't need her. And then, man, she does so well.
Cool. Good deal. I think that's actually all the units we have for today, but we do have another segment for you. We have a couple of floors that seem to be some really, really struggling floors for some people. So we're going to go ahead and jump into those.
Okay, so this is some team comps that my guildmates have had success with. Um, for this stage, you've got Kraka, and then you've got a bunch of Dark Infernos. Um, and like I was talking about with the tower buff, her revive for the Dark Infernos is up like every other turn, and it gets obnoxious. Um, the key here, you've got one of two ways to go about this. You either go straight to Kraka with a comp like this, where Spectra is just chunking her as quickly as you can, and you're kind of trying to ignore the dark infernos. Or I went with a way different out of the box comp, where it was Baretta, Tyrone, Zyros, uh, Verd, and someone else, and Chasun, and I just kind of eliminated all of the infernos and kept them all down. The thing you want to do one of the two. This comp is probably a little bit safer. You've got a revive, you've got a heal, you've got a speed booster, you've got a debuff remover with an HP leader, and then Spectra just does work on Kraka. So you either want to focus her and kill her as quickly as possible, or you want to bring a metric ton of CC to take care of all the infernos so that they're not just killing everything.
Cool. And let's see, next floor, stage 80. All right.
Stage 80 is actually where I'm stuck right now because I have to make more 6 stars to beat this stupid stage. The 2 occult girls and 2 imps, it's an obnoxious stage. And it's obnoxious because of the way the waves are set up. The first wave is a bunch of Periots. You have 3 water and 2 wind. So your wind units just get the hell beat out of them on that stage for no real reason. Your fire units get beat up by the 3 waters. The second wave is 3 Verds and 2 Rokes. So your wind units are just getting dumpstered the whole time for no reason, despite needing them to beat the last stage. The last stage, the focus there, you want to kill the light imp immediately because it will one-shot 40,000 HP tanks. You want to kill it or lock it down as quickly as possible. Then you want to kill the light occult girl, then the wind occult girl. The wind imp, honestly, Comdos nerfed Ralph to the point where you can kind of ignore him unless you don't think you can beat it without killing him. But the key here is having a water tank, whether it's Talc or whether it is the aerial like you see there, or if you can build like a crazy high hit point tanky Lumi, she can work. You need a tank to kind of keep the Wind Occult Girl and the Wind Imp occupied while the rest of your team does work. And like we talked about in the video, this is one of those stages where Shannon is a godsend because of the glancing hit, because of the defense buff, because of the AoE slow, stuff like that.
Good deal.
This is another setup for TOA 80, which is the 2. Currently, it's the 2 the 2 occult girls and 2 imps. This is just another setup that one of the guildmates used. They're using Talc to tank the Wind Occult Girl and the Wind Imp. Aria is in there making sure everyone that does attack is hitting with glancing hits and moving super slow. Beretta's dotting to get rid of the imps and also do attack bar reset an imp or a light occult or the light occult girl. And then Verd is there just to speed up the whole team and make sure they're going as quickly as they can.
83. Stage 83.
Okay. So if you look at this setup, the Water Joker's there to troll you and just stay alive while with his passive, while he's throwing out the AoE debuffs and block heals. The Dark Elementals are going to be reflecting damage. Every time you hit them, they're going to keep that third skill active as much as they can. This is one of those floors where it's actually really funny to bring a Dark Elemental, because when you hit them, they reflect damage to you, and then you reflect it back to them. So it almost sets up like a little damage loop, and you'll make them kill themselves while your unit kills itself, and it's really funny. You can also use the Chloe or the Neal invincibility to ignore those damage reflections, or you can bring Thrain or Hemos to apply dots without triggering the damage reflection.
Cool. And with regards to this particular comp that we're utilizing here, is there any? I'm trying to think here. Is there any reason to bring? I mean, I guess Neal wouldn't really make too much sense here because again, with a violent set, it's just not going to do well.
Yeah, I mean, if you bring Neal, she's going to get smacked around a whole bunch.
Yeah.
This is one of those floors that if you do bring her, it's really only to keep Baretta alive long enough to live through dotting an entire team of dark elementals with their third skills active. It's not ideal, but there's ways to make it work.
Good deal.
One thing that people need to realize, and it's sort of a wonky mechanic, but dots don't trigger passives. Here are the two big examples. The floor where it has Veromos with 2 Pernas and 2 Light Taoists, dots will not trigger the passives for the Light Taoists. So you can actually kill units. You can kill the Pernas and you can kill the Light Taoists without their stupid auto 30% heal thing triggering. And it also works versus the Dark Infernos. If you throw out a dot and it kills the Dark Inferno, it won't explode and hit the person that killed them. So those are really good ways to kind of cheat the game out of the way those floors are set up.
Okay.
Which is a big point on making those floors a lot easier. And like I said before, accuracy is key simply because of how the resist mechanics work in TOA based on the level of the units that you're fighting. And then if you want, we could go into how to beat the 100 bosses on each of the versions, but that's completely up to you because it's not specific to TOA hard. By now, I mean, I feel like a lot of people know how to beat the old Ifrit boss.
Right.
I'll kind of touch on Lilith just because when she is on the TOA hard rotation, she's kind of obnoxious.
Sure.
The key with Lilith is to blow up the incarnations that she splits into. And you have a couple different ways of a couple different options of doing that. Number one, you need to have a block heal because the one that absorbs damage, if she absorbs that back, she has lifesteal, and you don't want that. So you block heal that and you blow it up. You block heal her when it's not split out so that she's not regaining life. There's 2 different ways of blowing up. You either use dots and you stack a lot of them, whether that's a Baretta plus a Thrain, Baretta plus a Hemos. If it's on TOA normal, 2 Berettas. If you want to go that route, you need to apply enough dots that in 3 turns the incarnations die. The other option is bring an armor break and then a nuker like Spectra or Sig or Tesha or Perna, where you armor break it and then 2-shot the incarnation. The key there is the incarnations and making sure they die and that she does not get to absorb them to absorb their abilities.
Good deal. Yeah, that was always a pain initially, but yeah, it's definitely something you got to watch out for. And that was for the normal, and is that for both normal and hard?
Well, the TOA hard and normal sort of flip flop which one is on which at this point. It seems like one rotation it'll be one floor is normal, the other's hard, and then the next they'll kind of switch them. So it's only been in like 2 or 3 rotations so far, so I don't know if they're going to keep doing that or if they've kind of set it so that she's the new TOA normal boss. I'm kind of waiting to see how they keep swapping it around.
Cool. I think while we were making the video, we pretty much covered all the alternate units. Was there anything that you kind of thought of along the way that you wanted to add to that mix?
Shannon can be kind of a miniature replacement of Aria for the glancing hit because they both have it. Chasun can kind of fill that role, although not as reliably. You can almost bring your choice of revive units. I mean, if you don't have a Brienne, a McKean can work. If you have an Eladriel, I hate you, but she can work. Basically, just work with what you have and try and come up with a team comp. There's a lot of different options as far as comps on floors. It just depends on what units you have and you can make work.
Good deal. Anything else you want to add, boss?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, I'm half asleep, so I'm sure if I come up with something, I'll let you know. But nah, I mean, I think we covered pretty much all the major info there.
I think we did too. I want to thank everyone that has made it to the very end. This is a lot of material, probably something that you might need to kind of break into 1 or 2 segments. But, if you're like me, we got a lot of people that contact us. They kind of put this, as that background video to watch while they're at work and chilling and, listen to some insights. So it definitely gives you an opportunity to catch all this information. Wow. I ain't gonna lie, Dynamo, that's a whole lot of more information that I thought was gonna, be done with
Yeah, it
yourself.
turned out to be a ton.
But I mean, that's what the people need. That's what the people want, and so I appreciate you definitely taking the time to gather that all together and put it out there. Because again, I really do feel that we're in the stage of the game a year down the road. If people have been starting for quite some time, they should be done clearing giants and dragons and TOA normal, and they should be trying to get to that next step. And I feel that TOA hard for a lot of the mid to late players is the next step, and
Absolutely.
there's just not a lot of insight out. So thank you much for
And of
this.
course, now that you mentioned that, there is one thing that I want to mention.
Ah.
TOA hard, regardless of your stage of progression, is going to be one of those things where you are going to fail stages. Um, you do need a bit of luck and a bit of RNG on your side, especially as you get up into the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. It can be frustrating, but just realize that you are going to fail and it's okay. You just need to try again, and it may not necessarily be your team comp is wrong. It may not be that you did anything wrong. It may just be that random case of bad luck. So don't beat yourself up too much. Get used to failing. It's going to happen. Just kind of plug away and keep at it.
Yeah, for sure. That's words from a true champion, sir. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, if that is it, I will go ahead
That's
and
it.
close off the video right there. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a pleasure to make these videos for you as always. It's your boy Childish and Dynamo with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care. We will see you next time. We're out.